I never anticipated that a simple trip to the park would spiral into a chaotic whirlwind of accusations and theft. As Karen, a stranger steals my service dog while claiming I'm an animal abuser. Panic surged through me as I desperately chased after them, fearing the worst. Here's how it all went down. I never thought a simple trip to the park would turn into a chaotic whirlwind of accusations and theft. It was a sunny afternoon, and I had decided to take Max, my service dog, out for a stroll in the small cozy park near my apartment in the city. As Max and I were enjoying the fresh air, a woman approached us. She had a stern look on her face, her eyes fixed on Max. That's when I first met Karen. "Excuse me," she said, her voice laced with disapproval. "I need to talk to you about how you're treating that dog." I was taken aback. "I'm sorry, what do you mean?" Karen crossed her arms. "Dogs are not workers. They're supposed to be pets. You're just abusing him, making him work like that," she accused, pointing at Max's service dog vest. I tried to explain. "He's a service dog. He's trained to help me with my medical condition." I never liked disclosing my personal medical history to strangers, but I felt cornered. "That's what all animal abusers say. You're just using that as an excuse." Karen's voice was rising, attracting the attention of a few nearby park goers. I felt a knot form in my stomach. This conversation was going nowhere. "I think you're mistaken," I replied, trying to keep my composure. "He's well taken care of and loves his job." Karen scoffed. "I don't believe you. You're just a selfish person who's exploiting that poor animal." Before I could react, she reached down and unclipped Max's leash from my hand. "I'm saving him from you." I was in shock. "What are you doing? Give him back!" I shouted. But Karen was already walking away quickly with Max. Panic set in. Max was not just a pet. He was my lifeline. Without him, I felt vulnerable and exposed. I started after them, my heart pounding in my chest. The chase was short-lived. Karen was fast and I couldn't keep up due to my condition. I watched helplessly as she disappeared around a corner with Max. I felt a mix of anger, fear, and disbelief. How could someone just steal a service dog and think they're doing the right thing? I reported the incident to the police and posted about it on social media, hoping someone would recognize Karen or Max. The response was overwhelming. People were outraged and sympathetic, sharing the post and offering help. Days passed with no news of Max. I was starting to lose hope when a breakthrough came. A local shop owner had seen my post and recognized Karen as a regular customer. He provided the police with her address. The police found Max at Karen's house. She had removed his service dog vest and was treating him like a pet. Karen still insisted she had rescued him from me, but the evidence was clear. Max was returned to me, and Karen was charged with theft. The reunion with Max was emotional. I hugged him, tears streaming down my face. I had missed him so much, and the thought of losing him forever was unbearable. The incident with Karen had a lasting impact. I became more cautious and protective of Max. I also became an advocate for service dog awareness, speaking out about their roles and the rights of their handlers. But Karen's actions left a bitter taste. Her stubborn belief that she was right, despite the evidence, was both infuriating and sad. It was a stark reminder of the ignorance and prejudice that still existed in the world. As for Karen, she faced legal consequences for her actions. But I doubted she had learned anything from the experience. Her stubbornness and self-righteous attitude were deeply ingrained. In the end, I was just grateful to have Max back by my side, where he belonged. He was more than a service dog. He was my companion, my helper, and my friend. And no one could take that away from us. My life gradually returned to normal, but the incident with Karen left a lingering shadow. I found myself looking over my shoulder whenever I was out with Max, fearful of another confrontation. The park, once a place of tranquility, now felt like a battleground. One day, as Max and I were cautiously walking near the same park, I saw Karen again. My heart skipped a beat. She was on the other side of the street, glaring at us. I tightened my grip on Max's leash, ready for another confrontation. To my surprise, Karen crossed the street and walked straight up to us. "I still think what you're doing is wrong," she said, her voice cold and accusing. I braced myself. "I've already explained to you that Max is a service dog. He's not being mistreated." Karen snorted. "You can say whatever you want. I know the truth. People like you don't deserve to have dogs." I felt my anger rising. "You know, it's people like you who make the world a worse place. You think you're helping, but all you're doing is spreading ignorance and hate." Karen's face turned red with fury. "How dare you talk to me like that? I should have never returned that dog to you." The tension between us was palpable. Passers-by started to take notice, forming a small crowd around us. "Karen, you need to stop this," I said firmly. "You're not helping anyone. You're just causing more harm." For a moment, Karen looked like she was going to say something else, but then she just scoffed and turned away, muttering under her breath. As she walked away, I felt a mixture of relief and frustration. Karen hadn't changed, and I doubted she ever would, but at least for now, she was leaving us alone. I knelt down and hugged Max, feeling his calming presence. "It's just you and me, buddy," I whispered, "against the Karens of the world." From then on, I made it my mission to educate people about service dogs and the vital roles they play. I started a blog and began speaking at local community centers. The more I shared my story, the more I realized how widespread the misunderstanding was about service animals. The incident with Karen, as distressing as it had been, gave me a purpose. I was determined to turn that negative experience into something positive. Max and I became advocates, not just for service dogs, but for compassion and understanding. In the end, Karen's actions, though repulsive and unjustified, led to a greater awareness in our community. Max and I became stronger because of it. We faced ignorance and prejudice head-on, and in doing so, we made a small but significant difference in the world. This story just proves how important it is to educate others about service dogs. Max and the author are true heroes. I never imagined that my marriage would be threatened by something as seemingly innocent as my husband's picky eating habits. Little did I know, his refusal to try new foods was just the tip of the iceberg. As secrets began to unravel and the truth revealed itself, our relationship took a dark and unexpected turn. Here's how it all went down. My husband will only eat chicken nuggets, grilled cheese, and SpaghettiOs. That's it. When we go over to friends' places, he'll actually bring some SpaghettiOs to heat up in their microwave instead of eating anything else, even if our friends cooked a wonderful meal. If we go out somewhere to eat, he will only order chicken nuggets off the kids' menu. If they don't have them, he just won't eat. If I try to cook literally anything except one of his 3 food groups, he will claim he's allergic to some random ingredient instead of just outright saying he doesn't want to eat it. He'll then try to guilt me for forgetting his allergy. Spoiler. We've been to the doctor, and he's not allergic to anything. My husband just turned 36 this month. His food habits were sort of cute acceptable when we were both in college and eating poorly, but now I'm genuinely worried about his health. I also find myself avoiding any sort of dining situations with our friends, which is much harder than it sounds. I've tried talking to him about his eating habits, and he just brushes me off. Since I don't cook his meals, the only victory I've had in this situation, he doesn't think I have the right to dictate what he can and can't eat. I'm not his mother. I'm his wife. But I just want my husband, the man I love, to be healthy. What should I do? We met when I was 19, in my sophomore year of college. We got married after graduation and moved in together shortly after. I didn't realize how strict his diet was until after we were married. It does sound like avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, ARFID, and I agree that we need counseling. There's a good counseling center nearby that I found last night that offers couples therapy. I want to try them first. I'm going to bring it up to him tonight and really try to explain how much this issue bothers me, and how at the very least we should discuss this with a counselor to find a place where we're both happy. So, I did it. I confronted him when he came home. I brought up avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, ARFID, which he seemed very open to. He seemed sort of relieved that it's a fairly common disorder. Some of you absolutely called it. He explained that he was extremely embarrassed and defensive when I had tried bringing the issue up with him before. When I explained how much it hurt when he shut me down, he seemed genuinely surprised. He had no idea this issue was so important to me. I'll admit, I did cry a bit as I told him how worried I am about him eating himself into an early grave. His food choices are not healthy, and by the end of our conversation, we both agreed to work together to overcome this. We'll be going to couples therapy this weekend at a local clinic. From there, we'll look into seeing a dietitian and a specialized counselor for his eating disorder. However, I called his mother while he was at work. I asked her about his eating habits as a kid, if there were any foods he sort of liked or anything he was really averse to. I like the idea of making weekly meal prep together, so there are no surprises and we can collaborate on slowly introducing new foods. I was hoping this conversation would give me a good starting point when I talked with him. His mother is a very sweet woman and told me all the foods he even sort of would eat and everything he refused to. But she offhandedly mentioned that he has sensory processing issues due to his autism. I asked her to elaborate, and she did. It turns out he was diagnosed with autism as a kid. He even went to an after-school physical therapist for many years to deal with sensory issues. He never told me any of this. When I spoke with him, I didn't know how to bring it up, so I just didn't. I'm so worried he'll deny it or he'll get angry with me for speaking to his mother behind his back, since he obviously doesn't want me to know. I want to stress that I never brought up autism with his mother. She mentioned it all on her own. I feel lied to and manipulated. I don't know how to bring it up with him because right now, I'm just starting to process it. I'm angry that he never told me. His food issues are one thing, but not telling me about his autism, and seemingly intentionally keeping it from me, as he didn't bother to mention it today either, is another. It's more and more obvious that the man I married isn't who I think he is, and has been lying to me for years. Right now, I'm telling myself to wait until counseling this weekend before confronting him. I don't want our conversation to be out of anger, but I also don't know how I could ever trust him again if he was so willing to keep such a big secret from me. I spoke with my husband's mother, who told me that he was diagnosed with autism as a child in a way that suggests she clearly thought I already knew. I confronted my husband about his eating, but not the autism thing, and he was extremely willing to cooperate and seek counseling. I'm mad about being lied to about the autism thing. I will be bringing this up in counseling, but I'm not going to discuss it with him until then, as I don't want to let my anger and hurt override my desire to help him. As some people stated, it is possible he doesn't know about his autism. I really hope that is the case. I'm hurt not because he has autism. I really couldn't care less, it doesn't change who he is as a person, but rather that he never told me about it. It took a lot longer than the 1-week update I promised. I could make excuses, but I won't. Moving on. I was very upset because he had never mentioned anything to me. We've discussed various medical issues together, but his diagnosis never came up. I want to emphasize this. It's not that I don't want to be married to an autistic man. This is about my husband keeping something important from me and causing me a great deal of stress that could have been avoided if I had known about his diagnosis. For example, I constantly pushed him to try new foods, attend concerts, or visit loud amusement parks. I knew he wasn't particularly excited about any of these things, but they are all normal activities that I wanted us to experience together as a couple. If I had been aware of his autism, I would have had a better understanding of how negatively these things affected him, and made more effort to integrate activities he liked with activities I liked, such as attending a smaller local band performance or visiting a craft fair instead of an amusement park. I confronted him about my conversation with his mother the night before our counseling appointment. I made sure to bring it up casually, so I didn't become angry again. At first, he tried to brush me off, saying he didn't know what I was talking about. After talking for a while, he eventually confessed that not only did he know about the diagnosis, but he deliberately kept it from me. He said I was his dream and he didn't want to do anything to ruin our perfect relationship. I explained how his secrecy hurt me, and how I could have been there to support him instead of feeling like he needed to hide. He said he wasn't ashamed of it at all. He explained that it's just not something that affects him anymore. I, once again, explained how it affects me, but he didn't seem to care. I didn't show him the post I made, but I used some of the advice from others to try to explain why his autism still does affect his life. We went to bed upset. The next day, he acted like nothing happened. We had breakfast, he had chicken nuggets, and went about our day. I kept waiting for him to bring it up, but he never did. I didn't have the courage to bring it up again until later at the marriage counselor's office. I spoke to the counselor to avoid seeming accusatory and explained that this was an issue that bothered me. To my surprise, my husband actually laughed and said he assumed I had gotten over it by now. When I explained that no, I really hadn't, he became angry with me and stormed out. The counselor tried to mediate, but it wasn't very helpful as my husband went to wait in the car. I was worried he would leave without me, so I ended the meeting early. Our ride home was silent. It wasn't until we got home that I expressed my concern that he might be keeping other things from me as well. He said he had been reading online about how women can't understand autism, and therefore he didn't think it was important to tell me about it. I told him that was the weakest excuse I had ever heard. He then said that I would leave him if I knew. I responded that if I left him, it would be because he's a liar. Apparently, he told all of our mutual friends that he had just been diagnosed with autism, and I was considering leaving him because of it. Now, many of our friends won't talk to me and act very cold when we run into each other in public. I don't know what else he has told them, but I think he told someone that I cheated on him because a fake account has been commenting horrible things about me and my supposed sexual habits on all of my Instagram posts. I keep reporting them, but it seems like another one just pops up in its place. I haven't decided if divorce is the right path. I know he has been browsing incel and other bitter male-centric websites. One of his friends identifies as an incel, so I'm even more convinced that this isn't the man I married. I'm feeling confused right now. It seems like I've been avoiding him at home, and our relationship feels more like that of roommates. He stays in his den until it's time for work, and then goes back there until bedtime. Everything feels messed up, all because I wanted to help. I don't even know what to expect anymore, let alone how to move forward. There are so many more comments than I expected. I'm trying to read through most of them, although I don't think I have the emotional capacity to reply anymore. I'm truly shocked by the overwhelming support from people. Thank you. I'm going to discuss divorce with a lawyer. I don't know how to bring it up with him, but I've reached a point where I no longer care. You're all right. I dread coming home to him in the evenings, and I dread the possibility of him wanting to talk. This situation is unhealthy for both of us. At the very least, some time apart would be beneficial. That's all for now. I don't think I'll provide any further updates, as I'm already uncomfortable with how quickly this situation escalated. However, I will be living somewhere else by the end of the month. Seeking professional help, such as counseling, can provide a safe space for couples to address and work through issues together. Ultimately, understanding and supporting each other's needs can help strengthen the bond between partners and create a healthier relationship. I never imagined that the heartfelt confession from my wife would be the catalyst for an unexpected turn of events that would test the very foundation of our relationship. As doubts and uncertainties enveloped us, I found myself standing at a crossroads, contemplating the irreversible decision that could change our lives forever. Here's how it all went down. About a month ago, my wife and I had a long talk. She explained to me that she no longer knew if she loved me as a man anymore, or even if she ever loved me truly. All this started when we got married a year and a half ago. Sex became less frequent, and I expressed my concerns about it, but it never changed. Over time, she became distant, stopped expressing love, doing activities with me, and posting on social media. We had several conversations about how I felt left out and how we could improve, but nothing changed. Eventually, she started therapy, and after a few sessions, she and her therapist concluded that she no longer knew if she was in love with me. We sat down and decided to work things out and try our best to avoid divorce. However, I feel like I'm the only one putting effort into the relationship. None of the things I mentioned wanting in the relationship have been addressed by her in the past month. I'm feeling frustrated because I don't know if she genuinely wants to improve or if she wants me to end the relationship so she doesn't have to be the one to do it. Lately, I've been contemplating starting over, focusing on my own plans and desires, and potentially finding someone who truly loves me the way I believe I deserve to be loved. However, on the other hand, I don't want to let this long-standing relationship die. We have been through so much together, and I fear that both of us will eventually regret it if we part ways. I would appreciate hearing from people who have been in similar situations. Did you manage to work things out, or did you end up divorcing? I am feeling quite lost at the moment. P.S. We have been together for about 7.5 years. We were very happy before getting married, and I never once doubted her love for me until she explicitly expressed her doubts. Well, it's been a while, and I can confidently say that these past couple of months have been the most challenging experience of my life. But here's the good news. We didn't get a divorce, and we're doing well. Since my original post, we've talked, fought, and cried. Earlier this week, I spent a few days at my parents' house while she went to hers. This time alone was crucial for me to realize that we weren't ready to give up on our marriage, even though I was about 90% sure that I wanted to at one point. During our time apart, I spoke to some friends and had an amazing conversation with my mom and dad. They were great and gave me some valuable advice. Yesterday I returned home, and my wife and I had perhaps the most honest and open conversation we've ever had in our almost 8 years of being together. She shared some things with me that she didn't like, and I finally understood the reason behind her saying, "I don't love you as a man anymore." You see, I didn't always behave in the best way in certain aspects of our life together, and I could have been a much better husband during our 1.5 years of marriage. Unfortunately, I was blind to it all. It's not entirely my fault, but I could have prevented a lot of the issues that started to strain our relationship. I apologized and promised her that I would be a better man and husband, and she forgave me. We talked extensively, discussing our perspectives, and we both shed tears. We hugged, cuddled, and kissed. That day, I realized that we were meant to go through this difficult period to strengthen our relationship. Now, we have unlocked the ability to have proper conversations, and I feel like our marriage is truly starting now. I have never doubted for a second that she is the love of my life. Having her by my side is all I need, and I feel confident that we can face whatever challenges the world throws at us now that she's with me. Reflecting on this story, it is evident that relationships often face challenges and uncertainties. The journey this couple went through highlights the importance of open communication, self-reflection, and a willingness to work on oneself and the relationship. While not all stories end with a positive outcome, their commitment to understanding each other and making necessary changes led to a renewed sense of love and hope for their future together. I never expected that a simple act of kindness would lead to such a chaotic situation. Little did I know that by detangling Anya's hair, I would ignite a fiery conflict with her dad's girlfriend, Claire. With tensions rising and the threat of legal action looming, I found myself questioning my actions. Here's how it all went down. My daughter has a 13-year-old female friend named Anya, who has been facing some health issues that I don't want to disclose here. Anya's mother passed away when she was young, so she only has her father. Since he started dating his girlfriend, let's call her Claire, Anya's needs have been somewhat neglected, and he hasn't noticed that Anya has been struggling. Fortunately, she's doing better now after receiving the necessary help. However, Anya's hair has become extremely tangled as it hasn't been brushed for months. Anya has been hiding her hair under hats and hoods at home and trying to conceal it at school with buns. When she stayed over at our house last weekend, I discovered the state of her hair when they came downstairs after a comb got stuck while trying to fix it. I comforted Anya, who felt ashamed about her hair, but hoped that my daughter and she could resolve the issue. My daughter convinced her to confide in me, as she had been scared to talk to anyone about it due to concerns about judgment. especially since her dad's girlfriend had made comments about her appearance during her health struggles. When Anya was going through those issues, I made it clear to her and my daughter that our home is a judgment-free zone, and if she ever needed help, she could come to me or my husband. Anya then asked for help detangling her hair, so that's what I did. We put on some movies and spent hours working on detangling Anya's hair, but we managed to do it. When Anya went home on Sunday, her hair was completely detangled and neatly braided into 2 Dutch braids. She was happy and thanked me for helping with her hair. However, on Monday I received an angry phone call from Claire because she was supposed to take Anya to get her hair cut due to its severe matting. Apparently, Claire and Anya's dad had noticed how bad it was, and Claire had assured me that she would take care of it. Claire is upset because the salon they were planning to go to charged her a cancellation fee for canceling the appointment on the same day. Now Claire wants me to reimburse her for the cancellation fee, claiming that it's my fault for fixing Anya's hair when they were planning to have it cut. I informed her that I wouldn't be paying it, as I simply did the right thing for Anya instead of immediately resorting to such a drastic measure. In response, Claire stated that Anya is no longer allowed to be friends with my daughter, and they threatened to sue me for the cancellation fee, which amounts to £60, half the cost of the haircut. My daughter informed me that Anya was aware of Claire's intention to cut her hair but didn't want it to happen, which is why she sought help from my daughter. Like my own daughters, Anya has long hair, so cutting out the matted hair would have resulted in her losing well over half of her hair's length. So, am I the asshole for brushing out Anya's hair to prevent her from getting a drastic cut? I would like to clarify a couple of things. Regarding Anya's health issues, the matted hair is a result of a depressive episode. Once her mental health improved, she felt embarrassed by the state of her hair but didn't know how to fix it. As a result, she hid it and it worsened. She's capable of brushing and washing her hair when she's feeling okay. Anya's dad is not neglecting her. He acknowledges that he hasn't been the best dad to Anya, and is making an effort to improve his parenting skills. Since Anya's health issues arose, he has been seeking help. I don't think it's necessary to report a man who is actively trying to become a better parent. Anya's dad, whom I will refer to as John, came to speak with me earlier. Anya and Claire had a heated argument yesterday due to the canceled appointment. Claire informed Anya that she couldn't see my daughter anymore until I paid the money I owed, which was news to John. Anya told Claire that she would continue seeing her friend and expressed her dislike towards Claire. She also mentioned that if anyone were to take the place of her mom, it would be me because I care about Anya as a person, not just her appearance. John wanted to know what had happened between Anya, Claire, and myself, and why I owed Claire money. I explained everything to John, and he was shocked to learn that Claire intended to cut Anya's hair short instead of helping her detangle it. John believed the appointment was for detangling Anya's hair and would not have consented to a drastic haircut. He hadn't realized how fixated Claire had become on Anya's appearance and her hair. John assured me that he would not prevent Anya from coming over because he understands how important my family is to her. After her mom's death, when he was falling apart, we provided the stability they both needed. I told John that Anya is always welcome at our house and she knows it, but what she truly needs is her dad. She needs him to be there for her and support her through whatever she is going through. Having her dad's presence will mean more to her than having me there. John agreed with this and acknowledged that he hasn't been the dad she needs. He expressed his intention to try and be better for her. He asked if I could recommend a family therapist to help them, and I provided him with a few names. Since Anya started experiencing her issues, John has stepped up. He is not the same dad he was when they started, but he still has some progress to make to become the best dad he can be. Since talking to John, I have received angry texts from Claire, furious that I went behind her back and spoke with John while she was dealing with the issue. In her angry texts, she said hurtful things about me, Anya, and my daughter. I have decided not to engage with her anymore as she displays concerning behavior. I took screenshots of the messages before blocking Claire and sent them to John's work phone. He gave me his work number when he started dating Claire because she had been screening and deleting his messages before he saw them. She does not have access to his work phone. My daughter has been messaging Anya to ensure she is okay, and Anya will be staying with us over the weekend as she doesn't want to be at home when Claire collects her belongings. I am unsure about the current state of John and Claire's relationship, nor do I have any interest in knowing, but it seems that John is finally prioritizing Anya's well-being. After reflecting on the story, it is clear that the OP acted out of kindness and care for Anya's well-being. The decision to detangle her hair instead of resorting to a drastic cut was made with Anya's best interests in mind. It is unfortunate that this act of kindness led to conflict and threats of legal action. However, the OP's actions highlight the importance of empathy, understanding, and providing a safe space for individuals who may be going through challenging times. The story also emphasizes the significance of open communication and support from family and friends during difficult situations. I never imagined that asking my fiancée to buy a new dress for our wedding would lead to such tension within our families. As the haunting memories of her deceased husband linger, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. Little did I know, this seemingly innocent request would set off a chain of events that would test our love and challenge the very foundation of our relationship. Here's how it all went down. I recently got engaged to my fiancée, Anna. We haven't set an exact date for the wedding since we're still browsing venues. We're hoping to have it sometime next summer, or fall at the very latest. Anna is a widow and has one daughter, Kara, from her deceased husband. They were high school sweethearts who got pregnant right after graduation. He died 10 years ago in a car crash. Kara, of course, misses him a lot, and I've done nothing to try and replace him. We aren't particularly close, but we get along nicely, and that's fine with me. The rest of her family acts kind of strange around me. Her parents were best friends with her dead husband's parents, so they've known each other since preschool. Her whole family loved him a lot. It's not like they hate me or anything, but they just really miss him. Every time I see them at a family event, I can definitely count on at least one or two people bringing up some memory of her deceased husband. Then the whole family talks, laughs, and sometimes even cries over the memories. Of course, I know he was a significant part of their lives, so I can't expect them to just forget him. But it does get sort of awkward when they almost forget that I'm even there. We're gradually getting closer, but they still keep me at arm's length. Any progress is good, I suppose. I know that every time they look at me, the only thing they can think about is her husband, whom they miss so much. Now, my family has a little tradition with a wedding dress. My mom, who only has 4 boys, pays for her new daughter-in-law's dress to welcome them. When I brought this up to Anna, she just said she'll wear her old wedding dress, since it's in good condition and still fits. This isn't a money issue. We could easily afford a new dress in the wedding budget, even without my mom. Anna simply said she just doesn't like the idea of stressing out over a new dress when we have so much more planning to do. It makes me a bit uncomfortable. Her first wedding dress is very sentimental. Since she had her daughter so young, they were too busy and broke to get married until she was around 25 years old. Kara's dad asked her to sit down with her mom and help color a picture of her absolute dream dress. Anna just thought they were going to a store to pick the closest match, but her husband actually had his grandma, who passed away a month after the wedding, sew the exact design because she was a very skilled seamstress. Anna looked so happy in the wedding pictures of that dress, and obviously, Kara treasures it as well since she saw the design in person at the first wedding. Obviously, the dress is a beautiful design and a memento to his memory, but it still makes me a bit uncomfortable. I know that every person who sees the dress will only think of her first wedding the entire time. I'm sure her husband was a fantastic guy, and she has the right to mourn him. But I want the wedding to focus on our upcoming life together, not just her painful past. I really want this event to speak for only us as a couple and our own love. Of course, I understand she'll always love her daughter's father, but I want to enjoy time with the guests without them staring and thinking about her first wedding the whole time. Plus, I'm pretty sure Kara won't exactly be thrilled to see her mom wearing the same dress that was such a special memory between her and her dad, to marry another man. It almost feels sort of creepy and disrespectful to wear the dress her dead husband and his grandmother went through so much trouble to make. I would bet neither of them pictured her wearing it to marry some other guy who doesn't even know them. I feel like it's a bit disrespectful to their memory. When I told her all of this, she seemed dismissive and said I was overthinking and that it wasn't a big deal. When I suggested maybe getting just a cheaper plain white gown or not using my mom's offer, she rejected the idea. She said I was just being jealous and irrational. She seems a bit upset with me now. Some of my friends and my parents say I should have just dropped it when she said no the first time. They say my words made me seem a bit egotistical and petty. I love Anna a lot, and I don't like the idea of making her think I don't fully trust her. Was I just being petty? And should I apologize? Am I the jerk? In this particular case, the individual expressing their concerns about the wedding dress is grappling with their own discomfort and desire for the wedding to focus on their future together. It is essential for both partners to communicate openly and empathetically to find a resolution that honors their relationship and respects the memories of the deceased spouse. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now, or you're definitely the jerk.